Hi everyone, my name is Susie and I'm a third year maths student at the University of Warwick. I remember back when I first started at Warwick, during Welcome Week I had absolutely no idea what was happening, and as we're currently in the middle of Welcome Week and hopefully you guys have been enjoying the activities that have been happening so far, I thought I'd kind of give you some helpful hints, I guess, for the things I wish that I had known for my Welcome Week and for, kind of moving into your first and second weeks of term starting. Because I guess that's the first tip, is that it can seem very overwhelming with a lot of things that are happening all at the beginning of term, but honestly, a lot of this stuff is going to be happening throughout the rest of term. If you don't get around to experiencing something now, that doesn't mean that it's a one-time thing. A lot of things like societies, a lot of the Welcome Week events are just a taster session for things that you are going to get throughout the term. So if you don't get around to everything, do not stress. There will be more opportunities for you to do some of the things that you want to do, and it's as much about settling in these first couple of weeks as it is about, everything else. That being said, another thing that I would really recommend doing is trying to go to as many events as possible. When term starts, you are going to get quite busy quite quickly, so because you've got time now where you're not having to do any academic work, or where you have very minimal academic work to do, I'd really recommend going out and trying to experience as much of the social stuff as you can. I know that there are lots of club events on that Warwick is hosting all of this term, but especially during Welcome Week there are a couple of different Welcome Week only events which will be good, not only for meeting new freshers, but also just for meeting kind of work students in general, because some of them I think are freshers only events, but some of them, some of the bigger ones will just be attended by everyone. So that's going to be a great sense of, what Warwick is like as a party community, and should be very fun. Another social thing you can get involved with are societies. The Societies Fair will have been taking place yesterday and today, so if you haven't managed to find it, what I would do is I'd recommend going on the Warwick SU website and looking through any of the societies you might be interested in, and then going to those societies' respective social media pages. Because basically every society these days has a Discord or an Instagram or a WhatsApp, and if you didn't make it to if you didn't learn about the society at Societies Fair, or if you just don't know what events they're doing, the best way to get that information is normally from the societies themselves. Lots of societies will be doing kind of welcome week sessions, taster sessions, especially targeted towards beginners, which if it's a skill which you might not already have, that would be a really great time to, go and learn. But as I said already, if you don't manage to make it to a welcome week session, a lot of societies are going to teach you how to perform their specific skill anyway. A lot of societies offer beginner things all throughout the term, so just knock yourself out, but don't push yourself too hard, I guess, in the first week. But yeah, this is really a time where I'd recommend kind of trying any of the things, even if you're not sure if you like it or not. Now would be a good time to try it and see if you're enjoying it, and then you can kind of commit to it for the rest of the term. A lot of societies ask you to join the society officially and buy a membership through the SU. I mean, some of the societies' membership is free, so it doesn't really matter. But during Welcome Week, a lot of the sessions I think all of the sessions, I believe, I would double check this with the society of course, but you don't actually have to have membership to go to those sessions. So that might be something where if it's a more pricey society, like one of the sports societies, it might be worth going to the Welcome Week, trying out, surfing or archery or rock climbing or any of those things that you might not have had the ability to do before, and then seeing if that's something you're into before you spend all the money that it would require to join that society. The final thing I'd say about events is that, as well as the events that are being run by societies and by the student union, there are also, I guess, less socially based, perhaps more academically based events that will be hosted kind of by the university themselves. So especially things like going to your department. A lot of the departments I know have been having induction sessions and treasure hunts and meet your professors style events. As well as that, there are lots of welcome events at the library, so I know that there are lots of tours, self-guided tours. There are lots of also taster sessions for Study Happy, which is the library's version of kind of encouraging you to take a break from your academia whilst you're in the library, which is also something I help out with, so if you come to any of those you may see me there. But yeah, presumably you'll have found the Welcome Week timetable that everyone gets access to. Hopefully you've booked yourself in for some of those events. If not, you know, again, these are things that are going to be happening throughout the term, but now is a good time to kind of get yourself familiarised with the library, with your department, with the university in general, and just kind of like try and get your bearings. So, with getting your bearings kind of in mind, my next big tip would be take some time to actually explore the campus and explore the surrounding area. One of the first things that I did when I was actually kind of settled is I worked out how to walk from my accommodation to the building that I was getting lectures in, so the Zeeman building for maths students. That was so helpful because from there I would basically just work out, okay, how do I get from Whitefields to Zeeman, then how do I get from Zeeman to the Student Union, and then how do I get from Whitefields to Student Union, and then how do I get to my friends in Lakeside, and then how do I get to Roots, and how do I get to Tesco's, just all stuff like that where once you start to get a sense of the university you can actually navigate it around it better, which is really good for getting to go anywhere without having to use like Google Maps. But also I think it was just kind of reassuring, I guess, to kind of feel more connected to the place where I was actually staying, because it is very overwhelming moving from, you know, a secondary school where everything's basically like built like in one place to suddenly you have this massive campus and you're walking around thinking, how am I ever going to navigate this? But you have to start navigating it at some point, and the sooner the better, I think, for things like that. As well, I mentioned very briefly just then, one of the things that was really useful to me as well was working out how to get to Cannon Park and the Tesco at Cannon Park. Obviously, other shops are available for your groceries, but I think a lot of students do go to Cannon Park, where there's an Aldi and there's a Tesco's and there's a couple of other shops that you can kind of buy food at, and you know, every student needs food, so working out how to get from your accommodation to Cannon Park is, I think, a very useful skill. And depending on where you're on campus, you know, it's normally quite a nice walk up to Tesco's, so you know, if you're feeling a bit stressed, you just need to get out, have a little walk, get some exercise, get some fresh air, then you might as well combine that with working out where you're going to buy all those pot noodles that you're going to be eating the rest of the year. I would also keep out an eye for various like promotional events and like giveaways that Cannon Park is running. Obviously I don't know if they do this every year, but I remember in my first year there was like a deal where you could get like free food from Subway or something at Cannon Park if you showed that you were, you know, a student at the University of Warwick, so keep an eye out for stuff like that. Free stuff is always good. There'll be lots of similar things actually being run by any organisation you can think of who does student stuff. So if you've got the time and you like shopping and you like saving money whilst you're shopping, I'd have a look out for a couple of different like giveaways, sweepstakes, anything like that. It's unlikely that you win these things because of how they're set up, but at the same time you might. And sometimes, like with the Subway in year one, it wasn't even like a giveaway, it was just you showed up and you got free stuff, which was very fun, I remember. My final piece of advice for things that I'd recommend you start doing this week or next week is looking ahead into the future, which I know is scary, but I'm not saying like the long future, I'm just saying this year, and I'm saying look at your module choices, look at your timetable, and just try to work out what your life is going to be like day to day when you're at university. For most departments, the module registration will have opened today. I know that math, the module registration opened today. Obviously that might change from department to department, but if you're not aware of module registration, that would be something that I'd recommend going to check out, because some courses do let you choose your own modules to a certain extent. And you don't need to get in early per se, but I know that there can be, if there is a limit on the number of students that can take a module, then sometimes modules get overbooked and you can't take a module. So for example, in first year I wanted to take a philosophy module, I think it was logic or something, and it by the time I had figured out that I needed to register for the module, it was fully booked, so I couldn't take it, unfortunately. So doing some research into the kind of modules that you'll want to take, doing some research into what you want to take next year, so you can look at if there's any like prerequisites that you need to take this year, is always a good idea. But also just, I think, keeping on track of academic things is always just so invaluable, and it's always something that's very difficult to do because so much is going on with the rest of your life that it almost feels like, oh, you know, what's the point in me like making a timetable, because I'll figure that out when I go to lectures and stuff. But the sooner you can get into the swing of things, I think the easier it is to adapt. My first year, it took me a while to get into the swing of things. I think I didn't really hit my stride until year 2, but I think that's, you know, fairly common for university students. It is a very big change coming from sixth form to university. That isn't to say that you can't try. And the thing I think I found the most helpful in year 1 was just once I had all my modules and I was working out when I had lectures, when I had seminars, when different things were due in, I literally just got a piece of paper and then I would write down all of the dates or like all of the days of the weeks where things would happen for specific modules, and then I'd take that and I'd compile that into one calendar. So I think by the time, you know, I was really like working out what was happening at university, I had like a week planner where it would be like, okay, on Monday I have this lecture at this time, this seminar at this time, and also these assignments will be due in on odd weeks or even weeks, for example. So just getting all that information into one place which is easily referable. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to look nice. It might be that you enjoy making it look nice, which more power to you, but my timetables have always been a very messy, scrappy thing. But just knowing what's going on, just trying to make sense of what's going on. Because once you have that kind of basic understanding, it's then very easy to kind of build the rest of your day. Because if in first year I knew that my Monday was very busy, but my Tuesday was very like empty, then if I was ever looking at society events, then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to prioritise things that I can do on a Tuesday because that's my free day. So once you have, you know, that basic, okay, here's what I need to do and when, then when all the other stuff starts happening, you can kind of work out when you can slot it in. But with all of this stuff, I know I'm kind of rapid fire hitting you with a lot of things which I think you should do. This is just me looking back at things that I wish I had done in Welcome Week and in my first week and in my second week or blah blah blah. Because these are things that you will eventually get around to, and you might have certain priorities out of the things that I've mentioned. You might have things you've already achieved. You might have things that you don't know if you're ever going to really care about that I've just told you about. So don't worry, there's not any time limit on these things, but I think just, you know, if you're in a place where you can try to improve your life, go ahead, do it. Why not? I hope this has been useful to you. I hope you guys are enjoying your Welcome Week. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. If you guys ever see me around campus, feel free to say hi. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you for watching.